further ado, let's get right into it. Day one, we talked a lot about the whole strategic component, the planning of a lot of the automations, how you really get the conversation dialing, so you really narrow down the pieces of the business, in a particular area, so you start building towards that. Melissa and Stephanie, can you give us a quick 1-minute review or 2-minute review of yesterday for those that jumped in, and some of them today is the first day for them? So give us a quick review of what we talked about yesterday, and then let's get right into our day 2 of Assemble.
Yeah.
All right.
So yesterday we talked about plan. So that's the P of the PAM acronym, Plan, Assemble, Monitor, where we talked about the project planning worksheet. If you didn't get a chance to grab that, I threw that in the chat. So make sure you grab your copy of that, which will help you actually grab the info from whoever you're working with, whether that be a team member, a boss, or a client of yours, whatever you're building for that person. And then we apply it to our program, our PAM program, which you can get your own at our special offer at the end of this. But that program actually allows us to map out and communicate with the client, or again, whoever you're working with, that it's so easy at that point to really get that streamlined. So Melissa, take that away with your thoughts.
All right. I'm going to share the screen a little bit. We'll get into day 2 of Assemble.
Is there anything else you wanted to cover from yesterday? Just checking.
You asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do that as soon as I can figure out how. Should we go to slideshow?
So go to present.
Oh, there we go.
Oh yeah, that works.
There we go. All right, so we're just going to review the 9 steps again. Steps 1, stage 1 is plan. Yesterday we talked about how important it is to understand the audience of whatever that you're building. Talk about projections, in other words, guesstimating what kind of money this particular project will make, and then mapping it out. Today we're going to get into Assemble, which we're going to hit pages, workflows, and pipelines. And then tomorrow we're going to get into Monitor, which is, oh my goodness. Okay. Which is launch it, review it, and revise it. And it's funny because Steph and I found some things yesterday didn't work quite the way we wanted it to, and we reviewed and revised. And so this is an exact sample of how, when you launch, no matter how much you test it, and I'm sure a lot of you have done this with high level, you test it, but when you actually really launch it, you find that things don't always go according to plan. So one of the keywords we had yesterday was sassy, spelled S-A-A-S-Y. And we found a lot of people texted the word sassy spelled the way it normally is spelled, and we hadn't accounted for that. So it's a matter of review and revise, but we'll get into that more tomorrow. And then today, we know that there's a lot more involved with high level than just pages, workflows, and pipelines. But for us, these are the 3 biggest pieces. Somewhere along the line, you're building some sort of a page, whether it's an opt-in page or a lead magnet page, or even the website. Workflows is what, it's the brains behind everything. And then pipelines, I don't know if everybody uses pipelines, but we use pipelines for everything. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Steph, you want to talk about the workflow guide?
I would love to. So a while ago, at the very beginning of me learning this, I was, and by this I mean the entire high level platform, where campaigns and triggers at the time that's what it was, and it was confusing in of itself, and so is workflows at a lot of times. So what I found was helpful, especially when we transitioned from the campaigns and triggers to workflows, where it's a lot more functionality, customization, logs, all of those things, that I wanted to create something that was actually a hub of all of that information. What this turned into was the entire certification program I built and have been working on in the last 2 years. So this was kind of the thing that sprouted it all. So I want to throw the link in here so you guys get a preview of this guide. And what this guide does is it talks through so many different aspects of workflows themselves. So pages are definitely complicated in themselves as well in the builder, but most people know what they're going into wanting. They know what kind of look of a page that they're going to think of and what images they don't want, what colors they do and don't want. But with workflows, that's not the case. With workflows, you're looking at all these actions. You don't know how they're going to work with each other necessarily, and if it's going to go smoothly like ours did yesterday. We had some stuff that we thought was going to go a little bit smoother than and it didn't as we hoped. And so, like Melissa said, we revised that. So now hopefully you were able to grab that link for that. Melissa, I'm going to steal the screen from you.
You got it.
Oh, wait, let me do it without my notes, huh? All right, so this is the workflow guide that we created. So it talks about, it's current as of June 13th. It's definitely been updated since then as well, but we try to keep this updated as much as possible. So there always will be the date of the most recent copy, so you are aware of where that is. And then we start talking about, what does it even mean? So what are these top triggers? What are the things that happen? What does this do? I'm so confused, right? So we actually talk through what each setting up top here means. So what those actions, settings, history, status buttons do, what the trigger up top is, and how that's actually what's going to fire your workflow, the action that's being performed. And then we have all these actions below that are just going to be specific to whatever you're building for your client, yourself, your boss, whatever. And then we have some examples of the settings that you can configure, actions. And then we start going into the meat of it. So there's this workflow vocabulary page that I really like, because the word D&D, opportunity, pipeline, product, user, assign user, all of these things are thrown around in high level a lot. And either there isn't time to stop and explain it, depending on if it's a help video or anything like that. But there's just a lot of vocabulary around the software that it's helpful to really know and understand what those mean. So we kind of talk through what those mean. And then it goes through every single workflow trigger as of June 13th, right? So every single workflow trigger, what the event is, a description of it, common filters that are used in order to fire. So this would be like the appointment trigger. You're going to want what calendar, what status the appointment has, and maybe even if it's a certain tag on contact. So I like to talk through what those common filters are to make sure you're not missing anything. And I add some notes on this right sidebar where if there's something tricky that you may want to know and we might want to give you a heads up about before you use it, then it's there. So like, again, for the appointment one, I say suggested for all appointment triggers runs if manually booked and or if the customer books. So this ensures that if you're going and booking on your end, that the workflow is still going to fire and not just send nothing because you booked it and not them. So that's just an example of that. And we actually talk through each and every one of them. So the new invoice one that just came out where you can trigger off of an invoice sent or paid. So hopefully, we're going to see some more updates on that as well. And then it just keeps going, and we have order form submission, category completed, all of the memberships. And then the next section is actually talking about all of the actions. So this is the juiciest part of it, in my opinion, because there's not as much info on these out there that I've found. And so this part will actually talk through every single action that you can use in the bottom part of the workflow, the description of it. So what does it even do? As well as notes. So those are, again, just notes that I have, like the sending an email goes to the client, not to a team member in your account. The SMS goes to the client, not to a team member in your account. And then every single one has at least one example on how you can use it as well. So for the send email, if someone books an appointment, then send them an email and confirmation reminder. If someone fills out my form that makes them a lead, then call them to ask them if they have any questions. So there's always at least one example of how this can actually be applied, so you can get a good idea, get those gears turning in your head on how you can use it for your or your clients' processes. So then it just keeps going. So we have some more examples here, tags, add update opportunity. What you'll notice is the one in the chat is a little bit cut off. So you don't get the entire workbook in the chat. You do get a good chunk of it. But if you want more of it, feel free to check out the workbook inside to see how you can get more. But it's a really, really cool resource, especially when you're just getting started, to know what those words that are used a lot that you need to know. What are those actions, those triggers that you can actually really utilize in the system? Any questions?
You can see how I love Stephanie. She is a natural born teacher. She has built out so many resources for our clients like this. Yeah, it helps me. I'm like Paulson. I'm a little more technical, but I'm more up on your side, Paulson.
I'll grab another link to download as well, just in case that one's not working.
So let's have a SaaS conversation on what you're just doing, Stephanie. So one of the biggest relevant things that internally within our high level team, our leadership team, our board members, like everybody, we talked about is product marketing, right? Mm-hmm. One of the big things that we're missing is proper product marketing, meaning like, can we isolate a product and just educate around that and provide use case scenarios, provide relevancy on how it could be used, what it was built for. Yeah, we have our town hall meetings. We have a ton of articles and white papers and all these things, but it's different to have a use case scenario for the actual client or the agency or the SaaS provider to be able to do this. So
right.
A lot of you that are operating in SaaS as a new SaaS company, leveraging obviously high level as an operating system, the more you throw at your clients, the more you're going to have to focus in on your product marketing, especially in the onboarding scenarios, especially as you upgrade or create a second pro plan or whatever else you end up doing. This is exactly why when it comes to SaaS, you don't want to overload your clients, because now you have to provide and create these resources that are relevant and keep them updated and make sure they're functioning. As soon as, Varun and the team rolls out a new update, all the stuff just gets destroyed.
I love them for it, but I always hate them a little bit. Just a little bit.
It is a love-hate relationship because there's so much work to be done. Same thing with our marketing team. It's not like, no, we can't do this. It's because our development is so fast that everything gets outdated in 7 days.
Yeah.
Right. So the product marketing conversation is a really big piece when it comes to SaaS. As you guys all and gals all become SaaSpreneurs, be very sensitive to what you're throwing in as features and systems into your SaaS products, because this is what you would end up having to really focus on later. Because at a certain while, everybody's going to be able to use the system and they're going to all want to know, what is it for? What's the use case scenario? It's beyond the button pushing, and they become, very versatile in the platform. But now it's like, what do I build? I already know what salt and pepper, paprika, and all the stuff is, but what am I actually making as a recipe, right? And what should it taste like? So I just wanted to create that point because it's a really big, it's a multi-million-dollar problem for us, just so you understand. Even in your scenarios, it's a pretty big one as your clients and your subscribers kind of elevate themselves. They'll get used to the platform, and then it's like, what is it for? Thanks for bringing this up. Let's keep going, Stephanie. I don't want to slow you down.
No, you're totally good. And the workbook does go more into if else steps and wait steps. That's not going to be on the one that you guys get, but if you are more interested in seeing more of workbooks like this, definitely read more in the workbook itself to see how you can get that. But these are always really fun to make because you can make them once for the most part. Like you said, you have to update them, but once you make a resource, it is pretty easy to update. I will say, like, going on 2 years of I don't even know, probably 10, what would you say, Mom, 10 to 12 workbooks that we've found. If you want to find more workbooks like this, definitely check out the offer page that we're going to throw in the chat in a little bit. But off of that point, Melissa, I'm going to let you take it away.
All right. So now we're going to get back into what we started yesterday with showing you how to assemble within what we call we have white labeled our PAM platform. Oops, that's not where I want to be. But is technically market plan. Let's go. Wait, what did I just do? Oh, okay. So I need to, yeah, I'm not the technical one, right? I'm showing it. So we're back in our PAM platform, and we're going to give you more information about this software later if you didn't make it yesterday. But today, what I did was pull together an example, and I shifted it up. Instead of going horizontal like we were doing yesterday, we decided to go vertical. And it just shows that you can use the software any way you want. And this is kind of like a very dumbed down version of how we sell SaaS. So we would have social media, email lists, Facebook ads, things like that. You can add, subtract, all these things. This is up to you with either what you want to do in your business or what your clients want you to build for them. Then we go to the website, and then we have a pop-up on the website. We also make sure to put live chat. Sorry. Of course he's going to start barking now. Then we have a couple pages on the website, one being the pricing page. Then
we're gonna have to just pause for a quick second. let him breathe it out. It's okay. What kind of a dog is
now? He's smiling.
They're
So-
wiener dogs. They love being loud because they can't
stubborn.
be seen.
Yeah.
I have a little Maltese poodle. She does the same thing. If one of my neighbors will walk in, it's a storm out here, and I'm like
Oh,
muted rest of the way.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
so
you're gonna see each one of these opens up a new thing. So in the case of social media, we have we pulled in all of our social media. I didn't go in and fill them all in and everything, but you can. And then I gotta move all of us here. Then for email list, again, I open that up, and what you can do is go in and start writing. And the reason for this, it seems like you would be doing double duty, like you'd be writing the emails here, but then you'd be writing the emails within high level as well. Well, this serves the purpose in that we're getting the okay from the client. So let's say we have a copywriter. The copywriter is going to go in and build it all here, and then invite the client to make notes and everything on it right in here. That way it's getting all approved before it's then copied and pasted over into high level. So you don't have to do it that way. Certainly, like when we're building out our own, we build them in high level. But for a client, it's just a completely different experience. So you're going to see, depending on what you're doing. Now, Facebook ads, we're going to pull in the ad. We're going to connect and put special code on the ad so we know what's happening with the ad. So you can do video ads, text ads, all that kind of stuff. You can also put in your cost, your projected budget. And again, I'm going to show you in a minute where that comes in. You can also put what your goal is to drive SaaS purchases. Milo, no. So these three things are going to drive people to the website. Then we click on the website, and we've got two things. We can just view the page as it is now, or we can put in the your white label link here and then edit right in here. Again, if we're building for ourselves, we're probably just going to build it right in high level. But if we're building for a client, that's a whole nother thing, because we want to be able to show them and send information back and forth. So if I go and chat with Stephanie and I send her this image, let's say she's my graphic artist for this project, because you're inviting in all the people that are going to work on this project. So only the people that are going to work on this project are going to get invited in. So let's say Stephanie is my graphic artist, and I send this image and I say, I put a note here. I just basically pop down here and say, switch, let's say I'm the client in this case, switch out this logo for our new one. Now Stephanie has that information and can run with that. So we got the chatting back and forth. We also have the tasks where I can say, change out the colors and do that for Stephanie. Now, if I want to do it for Austin, I can send him one too. So this is the chat back and forth where you can collaborate. And again, you're able to build it right in here as they go. So that's all tied perfectly together. Now with the pop-up, we're also going to want, there's code that we put on every page. And then we also have the code for the pop-up, that on that pop-up page, we're putting that code there, the tracking code. So the actual pop-up should pop up in a second. And again, we can make those strategic, oh, I have to do it in this one. Yeah. Those.
I want to throw out here too, that we've been, with the example that we were showing yesterday with the client that we're currently working with, we've been doing the editing right within here. And it's been really, really great. Sometimes it's a little bit slower just because, of course, it's a third-party integration. But when it comes to being able to communicate and get that approval right away from a client on tiny little tiny background image changes, color changes, text box things, it makes it way easier than having a giant email thread where you're, trying to find the one image from 3 weeks ago that they sent it, but it's actually attached to this thing on this thread and it's in this email. It's a nightmare at that point. So this is very, very helpful. And like we were mentioning yesterday, it also gives peace of mind to the client that you're not hearing from your team for 3 months, or hopefully not that, geez, but 3 weeks or whatever it may be. And you're like, oh, I have no idea what this is going to do or what they're working on anything. I hope I'm getting my money spent, right? Like, geez. And this is where they can be like, you know what, I'm going to go in and check on it. And I can look at the different images. I can look at the text boxes, the design, all sorts of things. You could have an approval thing in the Kanban here where you want to, move things as they get approved, things like that. And yeah, they do have an integration with High Level. So Melissa, if you want to show how you can actually put in a landing page, I think that would be super helpful.
Sure.
You know what would be interesting is to see it on both sides, both on the side as well as High Level. Like I would love to see how it populates in.
Okay, so this is our.
The question that I get is like, what does it look like on the High Level side?
So usually when we're doing that, like we go into the High Level and kind of build out the skeleton, right? So we'll start the funnel on the inside of High Level. But once that has an editable link, like what she's going to grab up in the tab here, all you need are those web link URLs and to connect them to the PAM marketplace system or market plan system. So you could use this with workflows and forms, surveys all over the place. It's very helpful that way.
Yeah, let's I'm not techie at all, right? So help me understand something. Let's say like that background, right? Let's say the client don't like it, right? When they tell you that they don't like it, what happens? Like you guys put up a new background, they give you a new background picture, and how does it get changed?
So it depends. They could either add into the notes over here on this right side that, I want to change this to my one logo if we already have it. Otherwise, they could send us a new one right within the chat. And there's all of those different areas within the different like elements. So when you have your emails, you have all your little steps in here, you can add different notes. So Melissa, if you open up that notes down by the links on the bottom right, this is also where you can add just general notes about this step as well. So if they wanted to enter their images in right here and say, hey, I don't like that background, here's the image I want to replace it with, we can grab that from them right there. And then Melissa, if you want to open up the editor and kind of, let's change that background for now to see how it works. It actually really kind of iframes the funnel builder or workflow builder, funnel or form builder, whatever you're linking into the system. And it's almost as if you're just literally editing it like you're in High Level, as long as there's a link already placed. So you do have to go into High Level, create that funnel. But once that's created and connected, you can edit it just like normal right in here.
Got it. So I would assume regardless, like it'll get it to a 90% point where you go
Yes.
through and do an audit before you go live or whatever.
Exactly.
Mhm.
The other observation I have is y'all are really nice to your clients. Like you provided a lot of freedom for them to have a lot of opinion. And
Yeah.
I'm the opposite, right? Like I
Sometimes
don't
we
want my
regret
clients
it,
to
but
decide thing. I'm deciding everything for them. I don't want their opinion, you know? So it's different for me to see this side of it where it's very consultative. But
Mhm.
kudos to you. Like I can see how this offer is very valuable
Yeah,
for
we
The
really
nice
want to
thing is-
strategize with them about how to best apply our system, your guys' system, and to their business. We're not just transferring it over. We really want to enhance what they're already doing with the functions of the software.
The other thing is you can lay out what the client or your other team members can do or have access to. So we wouldn't necessarily give them access to this. We don't want them going in and editing in some cases. Now, some people are DIYers, so they just go in and they can edit, but they're probably going to do it in there anyway, in high or CSP for us, high level. We just want them to be able to view it. I do not want to say this or Stephanie's going to totally yell at me.
Also, so I guess in your onboarding process, you're going to teach them how to navigate through a market plan at the end of the day. That's kind of what your onboarding would look like. Is that a fair
Definitely.
judgment? Okay.
Our onboarding for when we're
Projects.
going to work in market plan
Yeah.
with somebody, we either sell the software alone or we sell the software and then after 30 days, we find out how they're doing. And if they're not moving, then we will offer a mapping session to help them understand how to start using this.
So the goal of our onboarding is kind of, we want to get them set up on their onboarding process, which we have our own for, and that's kind of its own thing. We don't want to overwhelm them too much. We don't want to start giving them a bunch of homework and a million things to do. That's way too confusing. What platform do I log into? Is it this one? Is it that one? I don't understand. What am I paying for? All of that. So we like to get them onboarded. And then, like Melissa said, we have that accountability session, we call it, about a month and a half in, where we like to say, okay, are you struggling? Is it harder than you thought? Yeah. Okay, well, how about we map something out for you? And then we're kind of just funneling them into this. Oh yeah, it is kind of hard, huh? Yeah, well, let us help you now. So now that you got a feel, it's not too overwhelming. You're getting to like a level off point where you're like, oh crap, I really need to do something. Hey, we're here.
We don't want to lose them. We
Yeah.
don't want to lose them because they're overwhelmed. And the other thing is we've got other clients where I talked to a client yesterday, he hasn't even gone through our onboarding yet, and he's already building stuff out. So for him, we can do the mapping session, give him the map, and he's going to go build it. He doesn't need us to build it. Then there's other ones that are going to go, oh yeah, I don't want to do that. You guys do it for us. And then we also have certified VAs that they can work with as well. It doesn't matter to us, whatever works best for the client.
Yeah, very cool. So what else goes into the assembled plan?
Yeah, so then we look at live chat. Obviously, we don't have anything in there because we know that the high level live chat is not pre-programmed. You're actually having a live conversation, but we put it on the web page. We put it on the most important pages. That way, if they get to the pricing page and they have a question, we want them to live chat with us, which happens with us a lot of times. Now, if we go back to yesterday, planning, then we're going to turn this on and I'm going to say, I don't know how well everybody can read this, but let's say we get 100 visitors from social media, we get 50 visitors from email and 500 visitors from Facebook. Then let's say 30% of them go for the pop-up. The pop-up is asking them to join our newsletter. Then let's say 50% of the people go to this page, 50% to this page, but 100% eventually make it to the pricing page. Then we have our pricing here. So once you get here, you can say, okay, we've got $297, 100% are going to buy $297 because that's all it's selling right now. And now if we go and look at the stats, this is going back yesterday to projections. So we're saying we got 650 visitors. Sales, we made 5,791. And so our cost was $500, let's say. You can always play around with the expenses. And we profited 5,291.50. That's a guess. Now, if we don't make these numbers, and let's say the client says, that's not enough money, I need to make more than that. Well, then guess what we have to do? We have to get more people in the funnel. We got to get better conversions. So we can play around with this until we kind of get a feel for, okay, this is what you're going to need to do to make money with this particular project, because we're only selling it for $297. If it was a $3,500 program, well, let's just show how that changes everything. Let's change this to 3,500. Done. Now we're making a profit of $67,000. So do we raise the price? How do we get more leads in? How do we convert those leads better? So you guys have heard it a million times. Facebook ads don't work. Well, is it the Facebook ad that's not working? Or is it the landing page? Is it you're selling it to? There's a million reasons, and we want to play around with those. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about what happens when we go to live. So I don't want to get in there, but you can see how this is a way to start getting your client thinking about all the things that have to make this thing work. Does that make sense to everybody?
It does. What I'm starting to like about this process is the confidence you're building in who you are with the client. Like, they're gonna continuously take you very seriously because you're very like data driven, not just like structure and just like building.
Trust me, it'll work.
Yeah. It's not like, you're not magic dusting anything of like everything's fine. You're actually showing them, hey, here's a traffic flow that potentially can come out of this. Here's where the expectations are. Also, if you go with a client who has a weak offer, right? You can and that's 90% of the people. They don't have strong market. You can show realistic expectations versus what they think their business is going to do. And then all of a sudden your scope of work will probably widen up because they're missing so many different things. And I can see how this can turn into a pretty high ticket client in no time for you.
Exactly. So we're selling the software for $297, but when we really get into doing this, we're looking at a monthly retainer, because they go, okay, this is just one project. Now I want to do this project next, and I want to do this project next, and then so then it becomes, and you said it yesterday, Paulson, and I wrote it down. We're there. Where did I write it down?
You're their software option, right?
We're the software
technology. You're a CTO.
Again, we're helping them understand, because a lot of them are go, oh yeah, no, this is going to work. We're going to make millions with this. And then we say, oh, it's not looking good. Then we run it and they're not making the money. It's not like that's our fault. It wasn't the software's fault. It wasn't the ad's fault. It's that not all the pieces were
on that point too. Speaking of the pieces, is when you're the client's like, I need this done, and then you're like, okay, get me this and this. I mean, Paulson, you did the stuff for this, huh? Like, give me this and this, and then nothing. And then you're like waiting, and then it's, oh, I haven't heard back from you. Why hasn't this been done yet? It's been this long. It's like, well, because I'm still waiting for this. And this program allows them to literally see, hey, I'm the one that's not doing something here. And let's remind them, let's send a notification, right? With like, remind that task, reassign that task to them to make sure that they're aware of it. It's so easy to also know what you're missing, what you're not still. And that's why I love seeing it fully laid out like that, and not just in my brain hoping I don't forget something.
Yeah, because we know, we've done it enough, or she's done it enough, that we know what to do, but we still forget things. Oh, we forgot to ask him for this, or we went to one client's page and he doesn't have terms and conditions or privacy policy on anything. And we're like, oh, we got to make sure that that's on part of our checklist, is to make sure that they get that in there. So that's really what we're doing with building it out.
Yeah.
So any questions or should we?
Yeah, let's do this. Let's take a quick pause. I know we're about halfway through, and let's put down some questions, guys and gals, on the chat. And what we will do is take about 5 minutes and go through your question. Also, it gives us an idea of where you all are in absorbing a lot of the things that we're sharing with you. And we'll go back into finishing the conversation. Let's see. Ask some questions if you guys have any.
I saw one come through, the integration with high level. It's not direct, but like we said, it is connected in the way that you can edit any of your, pretty much anything in Market Plan, as long as you just grab your URL from your browser. That link will allow you to edit whatever you choose in there.
Got it. Yeah. Also, I think some of the folks that jumped in today as their first day, they have a disconnect between what you're showing on the screen on the PAM side versus the high level side.
Okay.
Really, guys and gals, if this is your first day, I recommend you going back and watching day one. But really what this is a collaboration tool for your customers and clients to work alongside you in creating our a la carte style project within high level. And they only focus on one at a time. So it's not a full ecosystem that they're building out. It's really one offer at a time or one process at a time. So you keep the conversations very boxed in. But what you're seeing is a system that they've created with Market Plan. Is that right?
Yep, Market Plan.
And then it's their white label version, obviously. But ultimately, it's a collaboration tool. There's a ton of goodies that Stephanie and Melissa are giving away. You just need to go to gohighlevel.com/Blair and upgrade to whichever plan you want to upgrade to, and you'll be able to take advantage of all the goodies that they're giving away during the workshop. But let's continue on some of these questions that are coming in.
Yeah.
How do you run your onboarding? Is it one-to-one or is it a group setting, or how does that work?
It's one-to-one right now. So we have 2 onboardings. We actually recently redid ours because we, reviewed and revised. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow, where we saw our old onboarding process not really doing what we wanted it to. There was more questions, more, they have that first initial onboarding and then they didn't really hear anything. We wanted to make sure that it was more streamlined that way. So for that, we have a multi-step onboarding process. I'm not going to go too far into it because a lot of it is like, a survey for what's your account details, a snapshot of whatever your niche is. All of those are pretty self-explanatory. You've heard that 1,000 times. What we do, which I think is unique, is we have multiple onboarding actual onboarding meetings. One is an actual onboarding. So we get on, we say, okay, let's make sure all your stuff's connected. You have a phone number picked out
in advance where they go through a video and we have them doing some of the stuff they should be doing.
Right.
If they don't do it, then it eats up that time.
Exactly. So then they have an hour with the onboarding team to kind of talk through. We have a survey beforehand to really ask, what do you really want to focus on? What's your first main big thing that you want to get set up? Is that a lead magnet? Is that your website? Is that your course? Is it a product? We like to shoot for the high-end ones because then once you get your high ticket offer automated, you can get that money in and be making money while paying off your monthly subscription to your SaaS provider. And then you can keep moving without having to be like, oh, how am I going to pay the bill this month? I don't know. And then about a month later, we have that accountability session with Melissa. And the point of that is kind of just a redirect. We like to check in at that month and a half point, because what we find is a lot of people aren't doing what they said they were going to do, whether that's, them not doing it, we didn't get something to them, I don't know. But just checking in, getting on the same page, so there's not just this drop and you hear nothing from anybody again. And then it's also where we can reiterate our help resources. So whether that's they don't want to pay for anything, so okay, come to our free open office hours, check out our free help courses. Here's all of our free options. Maybe you need to hire a VA and put them through the certification program, or hire a certified person. I don't know, but main thing is at this point, we can actually use that mapping session, and as a product lead, we can say, hey, it seems like you're a little fuzzy on how you want to do this, but you have the right idea of what your goal is. So let's have another mapping session. Let's sit down, talk that through, and then you can either take that map and build it, or you can then hire us, hire a VA, whatever it may be, to get that done. And 9 out of 10 times, I would say that they really would rather have us build it, because we mapped it, we know what we're talking about, all of those things, like Paulson was saying, that trust with the client and the retention there. The certification program, I'm not going to talk a lot about on here, but if you are interested, definitely go to that events.cultivatingsales.com/offer. That's where all of our info is, and it links to the upgrade page that Paulson put out, the market plan offer as well. So definitely check that out if you're interested in the certification program, but I'm definitely not going to talk about too much on here. And then the charging for a mapping session, we like to do $1,000 for a mapping session. And then that can either be credited toward the project that we will then help build out for them, or then they, it's just that one-time fee, and then they can take it with them if they wanted to as well. But if they choose to then go with us, we like to give them some sort of feeling like they got a VIP discount, when in reality, we are going to account for that $1,000 when we give them that quote, because we like to give them the quote for the entire project after that mapping session, once we really get a full scope of what they really want, because 9 out of 10 times they don't know what they want at the beginning of it. No one knows how much work it's going to be. There's always one other email, one other page, one other workflow, but what does that actually entail? And then we get them that quote and move on with this process that we're talking about in these 3 days.
We're definitely high touch. Is that good or bad? I'm not sure. I'm really not. Sometimes I think we're too high touch.
I think it's good, but it's just hard to scale.
It's hard to scale. And that's where we're at right now. We're really looking at how we can make that easier. We're also very selective of who we take on. We're a small agency. We don't want to have
there you go. That's the model that you want.
Yeah. And so when we get to that 30 days and that person is doing nothing but complaining, and you want me to pay more money, we go, hey, we got a 30-day money back guarantee. We're going to refund you your first $297. Looks like we're probably not the right fit. We're not afraid to do that. We don't want the wrong people with us. They can go buy it from somebody for $97 a month and get whatever, it's like, we want the people that are really serious about doing this.
They get excited too. Like that's the thing. They get very excited to see it all that way.
I have a quick question on the sales process, so I understand this correctly. So your positioning is pretty much SaaS services, right? Like overall in the market, it's SaaS services. If you want automations or technology provider or a software provider, and that wants to completely automate your business, like we're your right people. But your first initial interaction with them, it's not a trial, it's a $297 plan or a $297 access to the software. And you basically throw everything at them and say, hey, go survive and see how you like it and see where you want to be. And it's guided, obviously, on the market plan. It's somewhat, they have some kind of box to follow. But typically they're not going to survive all of it. And then that turns into your normal strategy session, which is $1,000. And then that becomes just the interaction of consultation, which then turns into a real project of scope of work. I would assume 5 or 10K or something along those lines. And I like the ascension. And I think, in the grand scheme of things, the $297 and the $1,000 it's something you can typically scale with a big group of people and teams. It's just the scope that you got to be very careful about what you take on and what you can't take on. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we outsourced numerous things. We outsourced the onboarding to Matt Ticeno's group.
Great.
HL Tools, love them.
Support is also through them.
Yeah, our all tech support goes right through them. It looks like us doing it, but it's not. It's his team doing it. This is where we start spreading the wealth, because again, I don't want a big company. I want to stay a very
You want a
family
smart
oriented.
company instead.
Yeah. And so by working with other high levelers, like we know how to build a snapshot, but we bought Beyond's snapshot,
Yeah.
Extendly, because we knew we would learn from his snapshot. He's brilliant. Now we took it and modified it to us, but he thought of things we never would have thought of.
Yeah. He showed me some of his stuff. I did a master class for his
oh yeah,
community
I want to watch it. Yeah.
literally like 2-3 days ago, and I'm not techie at all. And he just me and him just going through and explaining all these things.
Brilliant.
To me. And I'm like, dude, how like he just built a whole thing for recruitment for HR. And I'm like, you took high level and turned it into an automated complete HR machine where you're just hiring people through it.
That's what I like
And
to
people
do.
are just appearing on the other side. I'm like, the guy's brilliant, and I got to do an event with him. But
Yeah,
this is
there's
my
so many
point.
good people that are in high level that are doing things special that by working with them, you're just going to magnify
Mhm.
what you can accomplish, and you can do it faster.
Yeah.
100%.
Boy, I was doing all the tech support. I was doing the sales. I was doing everything for the first year and a half before Stephanie joined me for like 75 clients. I was miserable. This is not my thing. I'm a salesperson basically. And so when she came aboard, it made it completely different. It allowed us to do more.
Oh, 100%. And so in the assemble portion of this business, right? You have the planning that you first do with the clients, then you're in the assemble mode. What are the type of communications that is happening with the client outside of what they see live that's being assembled? Like are I know you said there's a accountability check-in meeting,
Mhm.
but are there other team members involved? What is your normal process of making sure the right thing is being assembled? Like potato there is potato here,
Definitely.
patata there. Like it's like, how do you kind of
So-
confine that conversation?
Yeah, we also like to have a weekly check-in meeting. So the accountability one is the last of the onboarding. Once they finish that, their onboarding is done. And then we move into whatever project they're working on. So at that point, we've done, we're working through that mapping session to get a good idea at the beginning, giving them that quote, they've agreed, we've started working on it, all of that. We first start out with I have that project planning sheet from yesterday. I've been throwing the link in here a bunch. Let me grab it again. But this is one thing that we use to grab the info from them to get started. And then once we do that, we have a weekly meeting for this client that she's going to show here. We have it every Thursday where we check in. He asks us questions, we ask him questions. So whether that be do you like the way this looks? Do you hate it? Or, hey, I was going to build out your new client workflow, and I started to think, are they supposed to go here or there, or what email do they get? And then they're going, you know what? I don't really know. Maybe I should change it, right? And then we can start saying, okay, well, that's another $150 for a landing page or whatever that might be, because we've already mapped the scope of the project that we quoted. But that doesn't mean we can't add more. So what she's showing here is the Kanban version. So there's that canvas where we saw the map, and then there's the Kanban, which similar to Asana, Trello, kind of pipelines also in high level. There's these different sections that you can ask questions and have communications about very specific things. So you can see here that under the questions, there's still a couple things that we need from our client to do such and such things. Answered questions, so assets like logins and whatnot. Mom, you should probably blur that out too, by the way. And then the to-dos are things that I still need to do. So I can see at the very beginning of that to-do list, there was a task for me to set up that new client workflow. So then I can connect that you can assign the tasks to different team members. They get notified when they're assigned those tasks. It makes it really easy for that, as well as all over the place. You've seen me point out the notes and the comments. You can comment and note on pretty much any point in this program. So whether it be a landing page, an email, a Kanban task, and whatever it may be, it's really easy to communicate. But other than in here, it's very much Zoom. We like to have those meetings because you can see those little things right in here, right? They can see what the gist of it is, but then on those meetings, we like to solidify that we're going in the right direction, confirm that, okay, we built this little section of our map. Let me talk through and show you how it works and what it does. And so we can confirm this is what you wanted. And we can confirm that it is, the same as that map that we're talking about. So that's where those weekly meetings come in, to just make sure we're on the same page as we build, so we don't go too far in the wrong direction and be like, oops, nope. And it makes it super easy, as well as, of course, there are emails back and forth inevitably, but the platform definitely keeps it inside as much as possible. Sorry.
What I showed too is we have a little note section on the main plan where we're putting in their hex codes and, all the different links that any of us would need to get access, some of the login information to get into their, whatever Stripe account or whatever they gave us access to.
Yeah.
So we try to put everything in there. And it's a matter of training. I mean, getting used to working in there.
Yeah. One question.
Do you ever get scenarios where you had to turn people away because the scope of work was maybe outside of high level?
Yeah.
Okay. What are some examples? What are some things you see? Or is it based on your own expertise that you don't want to touch?
One right now with the client that we're showing is we've agreed to it, but they use MindBody. So they're for like fitnesses and stuff. MindBody's used a lot. And they use it for their baseball academy, so they can book, update payment methods, and we can't necessarily do that. So my first thought was, oh, well, maybe we could have a landing page with buttons that connect to the different places and they can save that link. But they really wanted an app for it. And we're like, oh, we can't do that. What do we do? Turns out we actually know somebody that knows how to build apps. So we're going to collaborate with them in order to take our landing page that we're going to build and make it available on the App Store and do whatever that needs to do for them to then have that.
So we'll be adding her as a team member on that project. And then she'll be able to come in and start messing around on that.
Right. So we can add tasks. Hey, Nancy, I need you to add this background image to the login page on the app. I want you to change the icon picture, whatever it may be. So if we can't collaborate, then we really like to refer to other high levelers that we do know that really can.
Particularly niches. We don't do anything with HIPAA, med spas, dentists, anything like that. HVAC, anything. This one particular product or client is a brick and mortar, which we normally wouldn't take on. But with this piece, we felt a lot more confident. We also can account with Market Plan for in-person sales versus online sales. And so what we're doing with this particular client is he's also got franchises. So we're building the master plan, and then we're going to snapshot it into each different location so that they can start. So it was, I guess long story short is we look at each opportunity, and we don't run ads. So we collaborate with somebody that does do ads that knows high level. We only collaborate with people that know high level. So Nancy, the app developer, is one of our clients. She's already helped a couple other clients with an app integrating with high level. So it made sense to bring her in. But we don't work with anybody that doesn't work with high level because it's so much faster to explain things.
Yeah. One thing I learned in my early marketing career, I positioned myself as a consulting agency. So I would do like 5K packages, 10K packages, or 20K packages where I'm like just focused on sharing my time with the practice, right? Now, I had to learn really quickly when to say no and how to say no. Because you know so much about the back end of what you can do, what you can do. Quite often you'll create biases that, you know what, I want to challenge myself and take on something I haven't done before.
Oh, she loved that.
A lot of times that gets in trouble because you bite off something you can't chew. So if you're brand new listening to today's workshop Melissa and Stephanie have been here for a long time. They've been here since the beginning of us launching high
Or
level.
more than me too.
Every single version of updates. They literally show up on every single town hall meeting. I have seen them there. I know that. Like it's because they're on top of the technology. They're on top of the development.
Thank you.
I myself, I'm not on top of the development because I'm not a technology person. It doesn't excite me, right? I care about the deals we close on sales. I care more about business development. I get excited about, ooh, we're going to work with somebody else that we've never worked with before. Like my interest is different, right? You guys gonna have to figure out when you're going to say no, how you're going to say no, based on the expertise that you learn on high level. There's like 400 plus features. You
Oh,
can turn this thing, mold it into whatever you want it to be, and you can white label everything. So there's really no end to what you can do with high level. I just wanted to make a disclaimer because you guys have been here for a long time to ins and outs of high level.
And I go to the meetings because I'm the salesperson. So I need to understand use cases and how other people are using. I learned so much just from listening to other people's questions. Steph goes for a completely different reason. She's training people on the software, and she's the one that's building out our internal processes and working with clients. She's kind of a busy girl. And so she needs to understand how to do it. I don't care about how. I need to understand why that.
And Paulson, I'm sure, I know Chase has brought it up, and Nico, and I'm sure like you feel the same, where when I started, they were like, why is she asking such random, very specific, little tiny, like, why is this one specific toggle in the funnel builder doing this and not that? And it was because I was building all of these resources and trying to do all of this stuff in my head and not out on paper, because that's the ADHD in me wants to do that. And it, with the workbooks and the videos and the certification and all of that, like that's where I go, is I want to update things. But not only is it help, and I just want to plug the town halls too. If you don't go,
I don't understand why there aren't more people there, but
that's a waste, because they
kind of like it small.
Yeah, they really do listen, and it's a really great opportunity to hear about things that aren't really necessarily shown, see sneak peeks and all of that. So I do want to plug those because they're very, very helpful, and they've helped me a ton. I mean,
Well, and what development company does that? I'm sorry, I've never worked. I got into Infusionsoft early on. I've gotten in just about, I'm an early adopter, if you guys haven't figured that out already. And I have never experienced anything like this group. They know I'm their biggest, one of their biggest fans. I know there's a lot of people, but these guys really listen. And yeah, we just can't say enough.
Yeah.
And
So
honestly, the component that I wanted to just point out is we're not going to just go develop a bunch of stuff because one or two agencies want it. Like I had a gentleman ask me while we're on this call, okay, when is high level going to launch all the capabilities market plan can? And I'm like, our thought process is not just to compete or just throw something in, because we don't want to waste development hours and time, right? But if there's enough demand for something, you show up to town hall meeting and explain the use case scenario, or go to ideas.gohighlevel.com and create a case. It's democratic. Go get your votes. And then if there's enough people that want it, we'll go build out a PandaDoc invoicing system if that's what people, as many people want it, but no other company is going to, back you the way we would, because we want you to succeed. It's beyond just subscription.
It's funny that you bring up the democracy of it too, because there's a lot of times where in those town halls, I'll be like, hey, have you guys thought about doing this thing yet? Just because, I don't know, I thought about it or a client thought about it. And then they're like, yeah, actually, that's a really good idea. We should do that. And then boom, that's it. Or no, and here's why. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And there's all the product managers and everything. All of that.
Yeah. Let's get back to assemble. So let's go through a couple of the final points that you guys wanted to make today around assemble, or if there's anything else we need to kind of go over, we can, and then we'll do a quick 10-minute, 15-minute Q&A at the very end. Make sure you raise your hands, guys, on the reaction emoji, and that's the way I can keep the questions in order. So what are some of the last things we should know as an agency or a SaaSpreneur when it comes to the assemble component of that stage?
I think we kind of covered all of that now, and we're going to hit it a little bit again tomorrow. We'll always recap what we've done. I think now, based on the question you got asked of, when's high level going to have the market plan stuff? For the price we're going to show you, it doesn't make sense to wait because that would be a huge undertaking. So that's not something they're just going to whip up. So Steph, I'll let you kind of go through because I know you kind of switched it up yesterday.
Yeah. So we did add a landing page for all the offer stuff. So you can see at events.cultivatingsales.com/offer, or if you scan the QR code on the screen, that will take you to the page that lists out what our offer is. And then that will also link to the upgrade link directly to high level if you need to upgrade, or to that sign up if you need as well. Awesome. Eric McRoy, shout out to you. He just said, I bought the lifetime deal of market plan and 197 upgrade with your referral link. So nice. Which also brings up, yesterday we had a question about the users. So I
have the answer. Again, he mentioned the $197 offer. So with the $395 or $397, I can never remember, you get X amount of users and all that.
It's like 15 to 20, but
yeah, if you want more traffic and visitors at any time for an added fee, or as part of an add-on to our best plan ever, you can upgrade the account to 2.5 million in traffic and unlimited users for an additional $195 after purchase. So there's one order bump that's $195, and that's where you add unlimited users and that to that. So it's $395 and then $195 if you want to take that extra
lifetime.
But still, it's a lifetime deal, guys. They are now going to be launching phase 2 by the end of this month, probably early August. We all know how that goes. And phase 2, and we're on the beta for it. It takes the tasking. Oh my God, it just makes it's huge. Then there's stage 3 that's coming, stage 4 and stage 5. I'll tell you, stage 5 will be the mobile app, so you can do everything on the mobile app. But they're launching stage 2 shortly. Then they're going to $79 a month for agency, which is still a hell of an opportunity. Because again, you're white label.
Why pay monthly if you can pay?
Yeah. So right? You guys are getting like the last chance at getting this lifetime deal. Mm-hmm. I almost told Paulson to hold off.
Yeah. Yeah, but as far as assembly, I think the biggest thing is just using the map that you create, whether you use Market Plan or not, whatever map you use, make sure that you follow it and check in to make sure that it is what the client is wanting. Those are my biggest things is, periodically double checking you're on the same page, as well as, making sure that the design is so simple to approve right in the system. Again, you can edit those pages, but all you have to do is just throw the link in the editor in Market Plan, and you're able to edit forms, workflows, funnels, everything right inside. So it makes it very, very easy for that assembly when you're trying to communicate with other team members, even if you're like in other time zones, like that's huge too. It's not even just that. But yeah, I think that's all I have for the assembly as a whole. So if you guys have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. I want to make sure that there wasn't any.
Let's do this. Let's go through folks that have raised their hands. So LaShonda, if I can remember correctly, is that you?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Welcome back.
Hey.
Steph,
Can y'all hear me okay?
Oh, never mind. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I think it's cutting out on my own.
Oh, no, maybe not.
I don't.
Oh, there we go.
Here or just yet. Let's see.
While we're waiting, somebody asked who our app developer is, just find me on Facebook and DM me and I'll give you the info.
Yeah. LaShonda, you have your question?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Did I raise my hand?
Yeah.
Yeah,
take
yeah.
it.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was an accident. I have no idea. I'm
Well, I know,
sorry.
LaShonda, you've already connected with Market Plan.
I
Yeah.
absolutely, and I look forward to moving forward. Like I say, this couldn't have came at a perfect time, and with me coming from, you know, a project requirements background and all of that stuff there, so this is ideal for me to design and get the requirements and then approve and then give it to the developers. So it works perfect for what I'm used to. I know some people feel that it's double work, but it's really not, because I don't like people playing in production anyway. I'm used to the whole development sandbox, that kind of thing there. So I'm appreciative of it. So I really appreciate this workshop. So thankful that I did not move forward with the other 3 solutions that I was actually demoing. So thank you guys.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Awesome. Let's see. Anybody else have any questions? Use the reaction button at the very bottom of Zoom itself. And if you you can jump on board with us real quick and ask your questions. Usually it takes a little while for them to ask questions. I don't know why. It's a weirder 30-second pause.
Shy group.
Yeah, it is a shy group.
Yeah.
There's a
Oh.
few questions in here.
I was trying to find.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Can we?
So, okay,
mimic-
great. Calendar page. Can we mimic this page in GHL? Do you mean the other way around? So we can pull into Market Plan the calendar page from GHL?
Mhm.
Because we
We
can
can
do
keep
that.
it.
Any page that you build in GHL, you can pull into Market Plan.
So I think the question is the Go High Level events page where it has the Google Calendar up. Are we able to mimic this page? It's great for like all of our personal client events. Or is that just like a agnostic page that you guys built out? Or is that on Go High
That-
Level? Is there something that I can mimic?
Yeah, that highlevel.com/events page is just a basic funnel with the calendar attached to it with the Google. It's like a Google Calendar integration that we pulled. So that way the entire calendar is visible.
Got it. That's what I figured. So it's just an agnostic page and then you just
Yeah.
embedded the calendar.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
it is. I think Chase built that, I don't know, now 2 years ago. We've been using it since. We probably need to update it, but either way, that's the gohighlevel.com events, it's called, and that's where a lot of our daily events and Zoom links and things like that. And you'll also find the town hall meeting links there. I believe it's the first Wednesday of every month.
Yeah.
There's actually a development council as well, where essentially a representative of each type of agency or
That's right.
size of agency, regardless of revenue or not, or size, jumps on board with us and goes over different, things that we do. Eric McCroy had, or McElroy, what was it? He had a
McCroy.
question. McCroy, hey, he asked, hey, maybe GHL can set up a deal with Market Plan. So the way we look at things like that is based on blade revenue quite often. So the companies that we do strike deals with is like telecom companies like Mailgun or Twilio, where we do a mass deal with them. So you collectively have a lower amount of fees, but we don't do that with like every single tool. There's like thousands and thousands of tools that we would have to do that for agencies.
Hey, but ours is the lowest one on the market for
There you
Market
go.
Plan. So don't miss it out. I saw one from Alan. Does the customer have access to their map so they can see how things are going? Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's the beauty.
So if I go out of my PowerPoint here,
That's the whole point, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So if this is our cultivating sales, if we go to team, I can see what team members I have part of our cultivating sales team. If I go to our Gratum one, we go to team, we can also see that I've added the clients to their team as well. So any plans under this, if I open up their free swing assessment one and I go to the Kanban, you can see that I can assign these tasks to any of those team members then under that team that are part of it. So I can assign them to Carlos. I can click on Carlos's name and see all the ones for him. I can message him right within here if I wanted to as well. So they can always have their own access, and that does give them their own login as well. So they can log in at any point to see that progress as well. Super easy, but that's also why we do that weekly call with them as well. So just in case anything isn't getting clear through there, then that we can also double check right on that call if need be.
I have a question for you, Steph. What is the timeline of the scope typically? On average, are you working with a client like 2 months at a time, 40 days at a time, 30 days at a time, 2 weeks at a time? What's your turnover ratio? Like how quickly you turn a project over?
Yeah, I would say about month and a half would be a good.
Well, we just did the Grace one. She gave us a 5-star review saying in 9 days, we completed the project. And
Right.
she said it was so smooth because everything was there for her. So it really, the answer is all of the above. Now,
Yeah.
other ones put us on a monthly retainer, because once we finish this project, they've got 3 or 4 or 5 other projects already, like we have them already numbered out for which one we do next and the next one. And then we don't have to have the weekly meeting after a while. It's really to get them used to using this system.
And one thing that I put when they book that project mapping or the project details meeting with me, I also have a custom field on a form for my calendar that makes them agree that if it's the time frame is less than 1 month that they need it to be launched, that they're going to be charged an extra rush fee, because then we have to put everything else aside in order to make sure that their project's done in a certain amount of time for their launch. So we like to give ourselves that boundary as well to be able to charge more if that happens.
A lot of questions about what templates come with. Do you want to show how we have the templates already added?
But they'll get the same ones, correct?
Right.
Or, yeah. So this examples templates came right within the account when we started it. And so there's a bunch of like digital marketers, social media, offer,
selling a SaaS plan in there.
survey, funnel offer, sales team pipeline, 4-part video series, webinar.
My mind is already thinking about sales. Like, okay, what are the appointment setters going to do? What are my closers going to do? What are the calendar systems? Like even in this thing, my mind is not even in technology. It's more like, how am I going to close a sale?
That's me too.
Okay, that's
exactly. So it's super fun that you
can nurture the ones that don't buy yet, because there's that whole other thing. We plan out client onboarding. If somebody wants to hire us for that package, it's going to be a whole lot more expensive, because it's not as easy as a lot of the stuff we do, because it's going to be so custom.
Right. It's definitely helpful for sure. I find it so much clearer in everybody's heads, not only the processes that we have internally, being able to map that out and either show other high levelers, show our clients like what we're doing if they're curious. Sometimes they get really excited to see all of how crazy you can get in the system. You could have, if you're doing those standardized packages, you could have those packages pre-mapped. And then when you have a mapping session with somebody, you start with that pre-map that you made template, and then just added the little pieces that are there for that person. It makes it very easy to customize and keep track.
So just to close out day 2 of Assemble, you have 2 offers for them. The first one is to upgrade to a plan. So if you're on the high level 97 plan and you want to move up to 297 or 497, text this number 262-261-0345. You can link called gohighlevel.com/Blair that's specifically set up for this event, and it will expire, I believe, next Wednesday.
Yeah, the 20th at 5 p.m. Central Time.
Exactly. And you'll be able to access all these goodies that the team is providing, as well as Stephanie and Melissa. If you are already on the 497 plan, what you want to do is text already sassy, or if there's a spelling correction, like, let me know. But if either way, the same exact number, you're gonna help us fire off the next workflows around that, so that way you are served properly. in addition to that, you can reach out to Melissa and Stephanie and jump on a call with them if you need to. I don't think they have that many hours, but I'm sure they'll answer you at least. But I appreciate everybody jumping in. Any final words, Melissa, Stephanie, before we go into
The only thing I'm going to say is I'm going to throw this other link in there just in case you guys are wanting more info on the offers that were given. All of it will link directly to High Level's offer page as well that he was throwing out there. So if you just want some more insight, I see one other hand raised. Should we answer one more question?
Yeah, let's go with Voss and we'll close out.
Hey, thank you. And I have a very, very sketchy wireless connection with no camera. So if I break up, forgive me, please.
Okay, got it.
Thank you. Thank you, both of the Blair team members, as well as you, Paulson, for your time. Quickly, I'm the one that asked a few times about the templates. Really appreciate everything you've been talking about here with project management. Definitely see the value. And again, as Paulson's fond of saying, it's so interesting to see what High Level is capable of and how many directions you can go with it and all the different approaches. And so I just really enjoy these monthly events. I'd love to see them weekly, actually. But anyway, I'll just continue to satisfy myself with the lunch and learn on Wednesdays in the meantime till Paulson really gets to work on these things. But anyway, starts doing more of them than once a month. But I love them. And that's my little vote for more, by the way. The templates, you say that there's a bunch included in this market plan purchase, which I'm interested in making. How many of them are like the ones you use? Because sometimes you buy things and like there's just like kind of really basic templates. So what's your honest feedback on what's included? Are you just like, hey, they're decent out of the box stuff that the market plan company put together? How many have you actually built that are included, or are none of like your special secret sauce templates included?
I'm sure Steph's going to say the same thing. We do the same thing in High Level. We don't use templates. We start from scratch.
I know. I did hear you say that. I'm one of those people that really likes to establish like basic like starting points.
Yep.
And like, hey, here's my favorite, A through F options, Mr. Businessman. Let me consider tailoring one of these for you, or for a lower cost, let me implement you, give you a turnkey option. And then if you want to pay me more to really, go to the next level, take it to a higher level, then we can.
Yeah, totally.
So these are modeled after some of the big wigs. So this is Digital Marketer.
So you built these?
No, Market Plan.
Okay.
These.
These are Market Plans ones. We haven't gone in and went through all of them, but they do seem very cohesive. The beauty of them is, even if it's not as robust as you want it, it's definitely a starting point nonetheless, as well as if it's too much, you can always simplify it. Or and then the other beauty of it is, let's say that you look at these templates and it's not what you want, and you're like, crap, what do I do? If you make your own, you can always use those as templates as well. So you can clone those and use your own. So this is kind of what we were talking a little bit about this with, I believe, Julian yesterday, where he was asking about how he wanted to do the standardized SaaS plans, and there, you kind of buy these packages. You could make up your own templates that when you get to that session with that person, you can say, okay, here's what we build. This is what it looks like. And then maybe we just go in and change the names of things for them to customize it to them. But it doesn't have to be a start from scratch, pull every little thing out from them. You could definitely have some pre-made, I don't want to necessarily templates, but definitely, templates in of itself.
Examples. Yeah. It's so inspiring. Yeah. Okay.
Outlines, skeletons, if you will, that you can definitely customize. So yes, there are templates from Marketplace. They're very great. They're a really good jumping off point. But if they're not what you're looking for, you have full capability to make what you want.
There's even more when you do this. There's a two-step tripwire. The one I grabbed this morning to play around was SaaS sales. So if I use this one, you're going to see I basically deleted a good portion of it because I didn't want to go that far into it, but it goes really deep. But again, the way we do things is different than the way other people do things. So I right away started getting rid of stuff, and now they take it all the way into starting the onboarding. You get they get the welcome, then they go to a login page, then they go to the dashboard, you're tagging people. So it's pretty in depth. It's really just, we find we end up scratching it and starting over, but I like looking at them to see, kind of like how I learned from other high levelers is, oh, I never thought of doing that. Well, then I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. Didn't know I could do that. So that's really where we're using the templates is that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's very helpful and answered my question. Thank you. While you let me ask a question, one more, you guys talk about the high level website builder. We happen to use Webflow. Does this do a decent job of pulling in other website snapshots?
I
don't know.
We haven't fully tried it, but I'm
Okay.
sure hell,
All right.
throw me a link, I'll throw it in there and tell you if it works.
Okay. Well, it's something I can explore. All right, cool.
Yeah, definitely.
They do have, they're building their Zapier thing. They do have a webhook, but they also say they do integrate with a number of programs. Webflow, I'm not sure. You know, there's so many.
Yeah, that's
again,
fun.
But the other thing is, you know, we, for the most part, it almost worked. And then I just found out on both sides what they needed. They gave each other what they needed. They did what they did, and now it works. I mean, it was not a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Well, you mentioned there's snippet code that you can paste on your pages, and that's what, so it's a pixel, whatever the track. So yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Thanks. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Paulson.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for your questions, boss. Let's see. Let's close out day 2, guys. And Stephanie just posted events.cultivatingsales.com/offer. Go there and find out more details about what the Blairs are offering, in addition to what High Level's offering, to just jump on board in a scenario like this. Take advantage of it. The offer stands, I believe, until next Wednesday. So it's a great opportunity for you to upgrade to higher plans and, you know, take your business a bit more seriously and, you know, get moving. A lot of people stay on. One of the craziest things that I think is interesting is a lot of high levelers jump in and they struggle the first 2 months. They cancel, they come back almost guaranteed in the third or fourth month. It's like a interesting trajectory that we see, and when they do come back, they come back on a higher plan and they jump in and just go all in and learn. While no, you don't have to do that. You can just get the resources, collaborate with fellow high levelers. Anybody in this ecosystem will jump on a call with you, honestly, even outside of high level. Like you may not get the same day bookings that you want, but they'll definitely spend some time with you. But
yeah,
either way,
this is a hell of an opportunity, but it's a lot of, it's work like anything else. There's no magic business that you can just not put any work into. But we're at the point now where it's all paid off. Whereas those, you know, in the beginning, it's hard. You got to learn everything. You got to, I mean, it's a lot of work, but it is so worth it. This is a very stable business. Everybody's going to continue to need this product.
well, that'll be a close off for day 2.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, what are we going to learn? Tomorrow is monitor. It's give us a quick preview, 30-second preview, so we can be excited.
Yeah. So tomorrow is the monitor. So like we said, we already talked about plan and assemble yesterday and today. So tomorrow is all about monitoring and how you can use market plan. We already talked about the projected stats, seeing what all those analytics could look like if you're doing what you want. But then it starts at 2 p.m. Central Time tomorrow at the same link that you joined today. But yeah, so the monitor tomorrow will be, how can we look at those live stats now that we've launched something? How can we keep an eye on those live stats, look at how we can tweak what's working, what's not working, tweak and review, revise, and you just kind of keep doing those last steps. So,
and I'll tell you, the one mistake we see our clients do over and over and over again is never launch. They're always trying to make sure it's perfect. They're afraid to launch. We test like crazy, but we launch and then we find out, oh, that didn't go quite the way I wanted. don't let that bother you. Even the big dogs. How many times have we gotten an email saying, whoops, didn't mean to send that message? It happens. And a lot of times what you've done when you send the second message saying, oops, we made a mistake, is now you've gotten their attention. And so there are many marketers that do that on purpose. We had one client get so upset because something went out wrong, and he did it, and we said, hey, God, that is an actual tactic. Let it work for you. Steph said to him, reply back when they send you a message. That's a conversation you can have now. So don't be afraid to launch, but we'll get into that tomorrow. I don't mean to start that now.
Yeah, no, this is great, because we make the same mistake. I just did a DBR today with HIPAA that says HIPPA, and I'm like, how did I make that mistake? Like,
Well, right. We tested the workflow from yesterday how many times, and never accounted for if people wrote SASSY instead of SAA.
They didn't make
So,
so if you did that yesterday and you didn't get a response from us, it's probably because there was a misspelling, and she fixed it to account for both spellings now.
And if you go to the link I just put again in the chat, that covers everything.
Just
So
start
when
over
it's out,
again. Yeah.
go
If
there.
we missed you yesterday, just do it again. We'll get you.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
okay, thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of
Thank
your
you.
afternoon. Day 3 will be tomorrow over Monitor. Take care.